Thank you for having me. I am Sean. I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am 39 years of age.
How long have you lived in Atlanta for?
I've been in Atlanta all my life. I do sometimes get mistaken from being up north because I have a particularly different type of dialect compared to other people. But I always tell people I'm from Atlanta. That's where I'm from, born and raised. And yeah, I've been here most of my life, my 39 years being in Atlanta.
What do you do for work in Atlanta, Sean?
I work in broadcasting, media broadcasting, been in the profession for 20 years, going on 21 years.
Awesome, long time. And how much you make doing that a year right now?
A year right now, I would say 25,000, believe it or not, 25,000 a year.
And is that your only source of income right now?
At the moment, yes. Yes. And just to clarify, because it up and down, it's between 25 to 30,000 a year. But yes, all things considered, broadcasting is my bread and butter.
Okay, so making 25,000 a year. I mean, your monthly take home pay is what, roughly just under $2,000.
Right. That's correct. Yeah.
And what are your career aspirations? You want to stay in broadcasting for the foreseeable future?
Want to stay in broadcasting, but I want to just only concentrate on my own entity. I have my own internet platform outside of the company that I work for, which I would not disclose. But I want to fully concentrate on my own entity. But at the same time, I am actually looking into cybersecurity. I'm taking some courses in cybersecurity right now as we speak. So just outside of media, doing something a little bit different that is in demand and will bring more profit than what I've been experiencing over the past 20 years in broadcasting.
Broadcasting is a tough industry, and from the sounds of it, also is one that is difficult to make a decent living in. I mean, living in Atlanta, making 25 or $30,000 a year, I know is not easy. It's still a big city, and I mean, cybersecurity is definitely one that's a lot more in demand. That's what's stemming you to start studying and researching cybersecurity and how to break into that career field is mainly the money side of things.
Yeah, the money side, and plus I'm a techie type of guy. Yeah, I'm a techie. True story. I actually wanted to be a detective before I got into media broadcasting, and I was always fascinated in tracking down criminals that do bad things. And so, with the invitation to take these courses on cybersecurity, I was like, okay, why not dip my toe in the water and learn more about this particular profession? I just find today's technology and the opportunity to be in this profession to not help make a difference, but to also bring some financial security, if you will, that I wasn't able to get during my years in broadcasting. So it's kind of like half and half, getting into it to help make a difference and to track down bad guys using today's technology and to make a lucrative life out of it at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great career field to go after and dive into. We'll kind of touch more on that too, just what you're kind of doing to set yourself up for success there. But let's kind of dive into just your current doing an income, making about $25,000 a year. Is that an hourly rate or is it a salary?
A salary.
Okay, so you're making 25,000 an hour, or sorry, $25,000 a year.
So it's 12. So to clarify, so it's 12 an hour
Okay.
in radio. I apologize. 12 an hour in radio and in TV because I also work on the TV side. It's more so of $50 per hour because I am a contractor for another company.
Okay, so but main income is the radio side. That's $12 an hour, and then TV. How frequently do you get gigs on that side of the 50 an hour rate?
Oh yeah, I get anywhere from 1 to 2 gigs per week on the TV side, and with radio part time, 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week.
So how many hours a week you work on the radio side?
On the radio side, it is anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. If in the event that I have to cover for somebody, so it's anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. And when you work in talk radio, of course, talk radio is 3 hours, but you may have to stay another extra hour for post production and things of that sort.
Okay, so working between 20 and 36 hours on the radio side, and then 1 to 2 gigs a week on the TV side. So yeah, I mean, you're working, we'll call it 30 hours a week, 360 a week gross income from the radio side, plus additional, we'll call it $50 on the TV side. That averages $410 a week, so
Yeah.
$1,600 a month. 16 to, I guess, up to 2,000 if you're working more or getting more TV gigs. But I guess that puts you in the ballpark. If you're making 2,000 a month, 1,600, 1,800 take home pay. So definitely a little bit on the lower side. So how would you describe your current financial situation on a scale of 1 to 10?
Sure. No, yeah, sure. So from a scale from 1 to 10, I would give it about a hard 5. I would give it a hard 5, only because I know that I am kind of somewhat in a decent state compared to how it was after I graduated from college. When I graduated from college, it was definitely a 1. It was definitely a 1 or 2. But 5, it's more so of, I'm in the middle. I'm not doing too worse than I was when I came out of college, but I could be doing better. I could definitely be doing better.
So when you graduated college, what financial state were you in there in terms of debts? And do you have a bunch of student loans?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. 3 student loans. Yep.
And how much was the total of student loans when you graduated college?
When I graduated from college, it was close to 100,000. 100,000.
And what's all those student loans paid off now?
2 out of the 3 has been paid off. I paid off the 2 student loans in 2011, and I have one. I believe it's in deferment right now, if I'm not mistaken, because of what's going on with the student loans and what have you. But it's been on deferment status.
Are you aware that those are resuming interest in September and payments resume in October?
Right. Yep.
Okay. And what's the total balance of that student loan that's remaining right now?
The total loan of that student loan is 20,000. 20,000.
Okay. And do you know the interest rate on that?
No, I don't know offhand.
Okay. I'll assume probably like a 6 or 7%. Is typically where a lot of student loans fall. And then in terms of other debts you have, what are the other debts we have right now?
The other debts we have right now are credit card and loan.
Credit cards. Total balance of credit cards.
Total balance of credit cards, and I have the document in front of me. It is about close to 10,000, I believe.
15,758.
There we go, 15,000. Yeah.
Okay. And what is this personal loan we have that's $8,900?
$8,900. The personal loans. The personal loans is what I got, which was granted to me. It was actually supposed to go towards my business, which portions of it went towards my business.
And was that from a family member or a friend, or was that from a bank?
It was from a financial institution. So it's one of those financial institutions that they tend to promote on radio. Like, if you need a loan, go here.
And do you know the interest rate on that?
Say that one more time.
Do you know the interest rate on that $8,900 personal loan?
No, not offhand.
So debts we have right now, we got the $8,900 personal loan, we got $20,000 in student loans, credit cards just under $16,000, and then we have other debt $587. What was that balance you put in there?
What was that balance for the 587?
Yes.
The balance was for the 587. That was from, I would say, it was over 1,000. It was over 1,000. Okay, I have it here. I'm sorry. 587.33 other debts. That is the balance on that is, it's like at least 1,000.
What's it for?
Well, the other debt, the 587.33, that is one for Best Buy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that name out there. They're for a laptop computer, and the other one was it was for one other thing, but for the most part it was for the computer, for the laptop computer.
Okay. So you financed a laptop there. And when did you buy that laptop?
I bought the laptop 2 months ago, so this is August, July, June. It was June of this year. June 2020.
So we've been racking up some credit card points, some personal loans, and now I guess directly with some other providers to finance a laptop. How long has the credit card debt been going on for?
Credit card debt has been going on since last year. Well, yeah, since November, December of 2022.
And what changed during that time period? Did you have any credit card debt prior to that, or did something happen in November, December that kind of put you on this course of accumulating all this debt?
Yeah, sure. So November, December, it was supposed to go towards portions of it, all of it was supposed to go towards my business or what happened. And what ended up happening was in March of this year, I was in a car accident. I was in a car accident in March 11th of this year, 2023. And I had to pay some visits out of my pocket, and I had to go get another car because the other one that I was driving in was totaled.
Okay. And is there a car loan too that we don't have on the sheet right now?
No car loan. No, sir. No car loan. So the car that I'm driving in right now, I paid it off with one of my credit cards.
So you bought a car or you paid off a car with a credit card.
Yes, that's correct.
And what made you do that?
So what made me do that was, so I was in a rental for a couple of weeks. They put me in a rental for a couple of weeks because the other car that I was driving in at the time was totaled, and I had to get to and from work, had to go to my doctor visits, etc. And I kept the rental car for too long that I was still having to pay out of pocket. So I made the decision to go ahead and just get the vehicle out of my credit card because I needed transportation to get to and from work and to go to my medical visits.
How much was the car?
The car was it was about 5,000. It was $5,800.
So you essentially financed a $6,000 car using a credit card, which
Okay.
frankly, I haven't heard many of you doing that before. Typically, because credit cards, you have interest rates of 20 to 30% versus if you go and finance a car on a car loan, you can get a rate between 3 to 15% typically. Usually it's 3 to 10% depending on your credit score. But going the route of using a credit card to buy a car definitely doesn't seem like it's the best decision with that in regards to the interest rates. Is that which card did you put that on?
I put that on the Discover card.
Okay, so that's the one with the $7,500 balance then.
Right. Yeah.
See, yeah. So you're currently in okay, so I guess the bright side of this is you have a introductory period of 0% APR on that card. So you're not accumulating the interest yet on that, but that promo expires, I guess, in about 12 months from now. So you do have some time before the interest kicks in, but that will start kicking your butt 12 months from now if you don't figure out kind of a plan for that credit card debt between now and then.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm glad I don't see that interest already accruing, because if you had put this on a credit card and there's accruing at a 30% interest rate annually, that would be a very tough spot to be in with a car payment essentially on a credit card.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about more about you and your background. Growing up in Atlanta, what was your upbringing like in Atlanta?
Yeah, sure. So single parent household. Grew up in a single parent household. My mother at the time, she was working 2 jobs trying to support me and herself. She ended up getting a job with a university. However, she lived from paycheck to paycheck, and financial literacy was not heavily practiced in the household. So if you know anything about Georgia and coming from the South, if you ran into a rut, they always tell you, oh, just put it in God's hands. God will work everything out. And so coming up from the era that I was in, going into the school system and learning as much as you can, they didn't really heavily practice too much on financial literacy. So it was not practiced enough. I would say that it was not practiced enough growing up in the household, even though my mother, being that she comes from Columbus, Georgia, she had a dad that was very heavy on financial literacy, managing money and stuff, but it just skipped the generation. So it wasn't passed down to me.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I started the show, because why financial literacy and education is definitely an issue in America today. And that's why I wanted to start this, is to help people learn more about money. It's not talked enough about in school. It's not taught enough. It's not talked enough about at home between parents and their kids. And it's really like a very sensitive topic to talk about in America. So it's part of the reason why I started. I want to bring on people like yourself and figure out how can we help you in your current financial situation? How can we help the viewers watching this to start taking action on their current financial situation to set themselves up for success and a better future? And that's really what inspired me. I was lucky enough to take a finance class I think it was my junior year of high school. It was a Dave Ramsey course. If you ever heard of Dave Ramsey? And that honestly changed the trajectory of my life. It helped me start realizing the power of compound interest. I used to play around with his investment calculator on his website, seeing, okay, this is how my money can grow. I put in $500 a month. And that started getting me to start investing in stocks when I had my first business when I was 15 years old. So really started learning a lot from that, how to budget my money. I've been budgeting my money every single month since I started my first business, and understanding personally how to live below my means and spend money and utilize investment tools. And so one, I'm going to do a shameless plug right now. If you're watching this show and you want to improve your financial situation, if you want to help America learn more about money, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. That's the best way to help this channel grow. But I was really fortunate enough to be in a spot where I could learn about money and take a financial class, but it's not issued in most schools around the world. So I'm assuming growing up, your mom living paycheck to paycheck, she just didn't talk about money to you at all growing up.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Was there ever times that she did speak about money, or was it more of, hey, we can't afford this?
Well, that's a great question. So it was not much about talk of money and stuff. It was just because once again, coming from the culture that I come from, it was about just putting it in God's hands and don't worry, everything will work itself out. But it would just be conversations of, hey, I'll see what I can do. I see what I can do, even though my mom only had me and me being the only child. It was more so of, I can see what I can do. I can't promise you anything, but I can see what I can do. And my mom had a tendency to, sometimes at times, Bailey, to go to family members and ask for help, financial help. And, growing up as a kid into your teenage years, it becomes disheartening because you want to do something. You want to be able to help your mother out, help your mother out with the rent and with the groceries and things of that sort. So it was disheartening for me to not be in that place where I could, help my mom out and help out with whatever needs she need met. And even when I got into my early 20s, I tried to talk to her about, mom, you may not want to spend things on this particular thing or that particular thing, but she too, Bailey, was the type of person to live beyond her means at times as well, too, because she wanted to live up to the expectation that people wanted her to live up to from a financial aspect.
Yep.
So we didn't have those tough conversations, I guess you could say, to answer your question, Bailey. We didn't have those tough conversations until I was in my 20s. Because as a kid, I didn't really understand, or what direction my mom was going to take the household to. It was just all about figuring out a way to make me happy. And part of the rough patches during my time growing up is moving from one location to the next, to the next, to the next, moving from one house to the next, moving from one apartment to the next and stuff. So she just been so focused on making me happy and trying to figure out the best decision, the best solution for both of us, the best way she know how.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, parents do everything under the sun for their children. I don't have any kids, but I know once I do have kids, it's like you want to do everything for them. You want to provide the best life possible for them, even if that's at your own expense. And the unfortunate side of that is that, as we're seeing here, it kind of passes on some of those lessons and learning. Is like your mom living paycheck to paycheck, living above her means, and right now you're finding yourself in a world of debt right now. And some of those kind of pass on to you over time, and it's kind of difficult to get out of that when you're taught that growing up. And it's like it's a whole mind shift change in terms of money, about education, about resources available to you, and it makes it difficult because when you have a child, you want to provide the world for them, and no matter what the cost is. And I've seen that countless times with people I've had conversations with, friends, family, with people on the show, and it's a spot that's unfortunate to be in. But I mean, that's part of the reason I want to have you on here, and we can have a conversation, figure out how can we change the trajectory of your life, and then if you have kids one day, that'll change the trajectory of theirs. So I'm hoping that taking small changes now over time will cause a drastic change to your future, for your children's future, and their children's future. So let's talk about the credit card debt. We got about $15,000 worth of credit card debt.
Yeah.
And how would you categorize most of this debt? We obviously said about $6,000 of that is coming from the car loan. So we got about just under $10,000 from other purchases. What do those purchases mainly consist of? If you had to summarize.
Yeah, those purchases, yeah, absolutely. Those purchases may consist of food and even gas at times, Bailey. Just there's certain needs, if you will, food and gas and other needs, because in the broadcasting company, it definitely is not like it was back then. And they meaning the people, the employer, decided to go into a different shift when it comes to income, when it comes to paying us. And I just hit a rough patch. Along with the car accident, I just hit a rough patch to where not only that I had to rely on the hour salary that they pay me, but I also had to rely on credit cards to meet the needs that I need met at the time.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously that's come since November. So we're on month 8 of the year. So it's over about 7 or 8 months this kind of credit card debt is accumulated for. So if you get rid of the car payment, a little over $1,000 a month, it seems like balances are growing. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. So current expenses we have net income 1,600 to 1,800 depending on how many hours and how many gigs you get. But expenses, we have rent. Your rent is $675 a month, correct?
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
you live with roommates?
I live by myself.
Live by yourself? Okay, wow, it's cheap for Atlanta. And home
I
utilities,
got this apartment during the pandemic.
nice. Okay. Home utilities, 226. That include Wi-Fi, gas, energy.
No, it's utilities, trash, garbage, gas, and electricity. Yep, all in that.
Car insurance, we got 138 on that a month. We got gas 160. We don't technically have a car payment on budget because it is technically through your credit card right now, which the minimum payment on that card is 159, but that's obviously going to change once interest starts accruing. Minimum payments are going to start going more towards interest than they are towards the principal. Is all going to principal right now. Groceries, you only spend $50 a month on groceries.
Yeah. So the story behind that is because I work a lot, even though I do part-time and I do my other hours at my other job, I'm also just working a lot, whether it is searching for other paid opportunities and doing other things on the creative side to accumulate more revenue to what I'm doing. I find myself at times too busy to cook, and I have a tendency to go eat out more and more than ever before. And then with the $50 with groceries, to be honest with you, I'm currently shopping at the dollar store. Getting the Roman noodles, like Dave Ramsey, what you alluded to, Dave Ramsey sometimes talk about live off of Roman noodles for a while. So I do the Roman noodles thing and, the microwavable foods every now and then. So yeah.
How much do you think you spend a month on eating out right now?
Oh, I say like in the hundreds, like around $100, groceries, eating out, 100. Yeah. Eating out like
About
around
$100 you think a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
About $100. Yeah.
So that brings kind of our total necessities with your home, roof over your head, your car, and your groceries to about $1,250 a month. That doesn't obviously include the car payment. And then we have, as I call it, total fun money. We have about $100 for eating out, entertainment, $200, and shopping, $80. That's another $389, which brings your total expenses to $1,638, which is basically what you're bringing in post-tax right now.
Right.
So, and that does not include any credit card payments.
Right. That does not include.
Minimum credit card payments, I'm calculating right now, is about $368. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
This is only for, I guess, $14,000 of that debt. So there's $15,700. I'm missing about $1,100 somewhere. I must be missing one credit card statement somewhere that's about $2,000. But just taking a look through all of this, seeing where we're at. Okay. So we have total expenses $1,600. You're bringing in $1,600 a month. So you're living paycheck to paycheck without credit card payments. If we put the credit card payments in there, we'll call it the $368 that I have on my end. That puts you $368 basically over what you're bringing in every single month. So currently operating at a deficit, which I can see this is how interest starts accruing. This is how balances start accruing, getting bigger. Interest payments are not really nothing over the interest really being paid right now. And that puts you in a tough spot. And that doesn't include, so that also doesn't include personal loans. Is that monthly payment $572 right now?
So that's all the loans. Yeah. $572. That's for all the loans that I currently have.
Which that's for all of them. That's not just the $9,000 balance one. The one that's $8,912 that you took out for the business stuff.
Yeah. The personal loans. Yeah, the $8,912.95. Yeah, personal loans.
Is that minimum payment alone $572, or is that because that's what you put on the chart right here? Is the minimum payment for that personal loan is $572?
Oh, okay. Let me go back and check. $572. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's the payment because what I did was I calculated all the personal loans together, and that's how it came out to the figure that is before you. So it's like, for example, 3 or 4 personal loans calculated all together to get it to that amount.
So we got 572 on that front. We got 368 on the credit cards. Student loans, when those resume, I mean, if this is a 20-year term, I don't know what term that's going to be on. Interest rate 6%. I mean, that's another $140, $150. And then we have a laptop computer is another $56. So basically between credit card payments, personal loans, laptop computer, and student loans, we're saying $1,141 in terms of debt payments every single month. Does that sound about right?
Right.
Does that scare you at all?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it does.
That scares me, frankly.
It scares me. Yeah.
Bringing in $1,600 a month, and we got $1,141 going out the door strictly to debt payments, and most of that is interest accruing debt on these credit cards. So that definitely terrifies me. Let's talk about credit cards right now. Do you still have all these credit cards open? And are you spending money on them?
Not at the moment. They're still open, but not at the moment.
Okay, they're still open, but you're not spending money on them. Have you cut them up so you don't use them anymore?
No. I have a feeling that after this show, I'm gonna have to.
What's preventing you from cutting them up?
Emergencies, to be quite honest, because I've always been told, you only have credit cards for emergency purposes only. So I would say for emergency.
$16,000 worth of emergencies on these credit cards right now? Or are these credit cards being used for things other than emergencies?
Just for emergencies, because I could end up losing my job tomorrow. Or next week, and I need to be able to pay whatever I can pay off.
So I understand a lot of people, they like having credit cards for the emergency purposes, because it gives them a safety buffer. George Campbell, he works with Dave Ramsey, and I saw him teach this one time on one of his social medias, and he said a lot of people are scared for getting rid of credit cards. So what they teach is, or he said is, take your credit cards, put them in the freezer, and don't touch them. Keep one open, keep two open, whatever makes you feel comfortable. If it's one or two, put them in the freezer, don't touch them there. Don't swipe them, don't spin on them. And that way you still have it in there for an emergency, but they're not on your wallet. That prohibits you from shopping online with it. That prohibits you from shopping at them on the grocery store, prevents you from going out and shopping and using them. But then you still have that emergency thought in your mind where, okay, worst comes to worst, I need to swipe this. You're protected because you have that in the freezer. But that's one thing, frankly, I would suggest. If you have, right now you got $15,000 worth of credit cards, you shouldn't have a credit card. If you're carrying, my take is if you ever carry a balance on a credit card, you shouldn't have a credit card, because credit cards are probably one of the number one wealth, if not the number one wealth killer in America, because you swipe it, you think, okay, I can pay this off when my payment date is month ends, and then I'll have to pay it probably 15 days after that. So I got 45 days to pay this off. And then guess what? Life happens and you can't make that payment on the 15th of the following month. And then that interest starts accruing at 29%. You're not going to earn 29% interest on any investment in the world, and it's just going to be collected and paid to the bank. And then sitting here, if you make just the minimum payments every single month, it's going to take you 10, 15, 20, 30 years to pay off these credit cards, because most of that money is going towards the interest payments. You're never going to get out of it. So if you ever carry a balance on a credit card, you're using them improperly. A lot of people keep credit cards for, hey, I get the points for it, I get the cash back. But if you miss any payments you're carrying a balance, you're paying more to the bank in interest than you are getting in rewards. So if you keep using a credit card and you pay it off every single month, you live below your means, you are able to invest, you're able to save, then okay, if you want to keep a credit card for your cash back or whatever, I'm not getting mad at you. But if you carry a balance on your credit card ever and you pay interest to the bank, even if you have a 0% interest APR credit card like you do right now, you're not a credit card person. You shouldn't have a credit card, because that's going to lead you to swiping it more and more and more. So you have to figure out and make that change in your mind that, hey, I'm going to be dependent on this credit card. And you can still have that, I guess, emergency case in your mind, but if you put that in the freezer, you're not going to be actively swiping and using these cards.
That's true.
So
yeah,
that's what I would suggest is after this, one, cut up most of them because you got 5 or 6 cards open. 2, put them in the freezer so you can't swipe them, because if you swipe them, if you have them in your wallet, you're going to start purchasing more things on it, and the debt's going to continue to accumulate. Versus if you're using a debit card, you have to be a lot more conscious about what you're spending, because if it's not in your bank account, your card's going to bounce, or you're going to have overdraft fees, and you're a lot more conscious, and you'll have to think twice about whether you're going to buy steak at the grocery store, you're going to buy chicken instead, or you're going to bulk buy ramen noodles versus a steak, because you don't have the money in your card to do, or in your account to do that. That's definitely one thing I would definitely suggest is you need to get the mindset shift of using credit cards. And again, if you want to have it as emergency for the next 90 days, for the next 4 months, or whatever it is, or until you get on a credit card debt and you put it in the freezer, and you don't touch it, that's okay. I will go with you on that. But if you use these credit cards, it's just going to continue to accumulate and you're never going to get out of this debt. Does that make sense?
So that makes total sense. I agree.
Are you open to trying that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
thank goodness I have a freezer.
There we go. Great. So that's the only credit cards. Let's dive into some of these credit cards just to see what transactions have been on here in the last month.
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
So this first credit card, okay, this is $800 in credit card debt I was missing, $846 balance. Have you taken a look at these statements before and seen how much of your minimum payment is going towards interest versus how much is going towards the principal?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Okay. So this credit card, for example, has an $838 balance. You paid $69 in a payment last month, but $19 of that was going towards interest. So your balance went down, but then you also had, I guess, fees that were $41. Oh, you had a late fee. So last month you paid $69. You got hit with a $41 credit, and then we had a $19 interest charge as well. So your balance went down $8 after paying $69 on this credit card.
Right. That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And I know exactly what card you're talking about. Yep.
Okay. So not much headway was made here. And if you pay just the minimum payment of $69, you're going to pay this off in 4 years, which you'll end up paying about 50% of the balance in interest. Which that does not sound fun, but you're not spending money on this. But this card alone, you spend $158 in interest alone this year going towards the bank, which that is money in the bank's pocket, not in your pocket. Let's see the Discover card. So Discover, we had started with a $7,500 balance. You paid the minimum payment of $151, but you spent $532 on this credit card. So if you pay the minimum payment, it's going to take you 27 years to pay this credit card off. Does that terrify you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're going to be 65 when you pay this credit card off. You're making the minimum payments every single month. And just by paying an extra $100 a month, basically, you can cut that down to 3 years versus 27 years. Last month we have, what is KSEG Group?
Oh, yes. So that is a consulting firm. So earlier in the broadcast, I mentioned that I'm taking some cybersecurity courses, and I used that card to pay for the first 2 courses in it. But I'm going to stop paying them only because I'm getting ready to take a free class coming where I don't have to pay at all. But I didn't have the money from my debit card to pay for the class.
Okay. Free classes are definitely the way to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Registered agent, you paid $299. What was that for?
LLC. So I have my own online company. I mentioned radio. I have my own radio company. So that's an LLC.
Are you separating your business transactions versus your personal transactions?
Yeah.
This is all on the Discover card, which is
this is both. Yeah, it's like personal. So what ended up happening was I did have a business account with a bank. I won't say their name either. I did have a business account with the bank where all business transactions needed to be made from that particular bank, but they were charging me per month for the maintenance fee, and I couldn't. And I had to cut them off. I had to cut them off because I was getting charged per month.
So, are you making any money through this business right now?
Making only a little bit of money. I would say I'm only making $200. A maximum
200 a month?
200 a month. Yeah.
Are you aware that instead of paying 3, I guess there's 2 routes to go the cheaper route, frankly, with this. One route is you continue to file just as a sole proprietor, and you don't have to have a legal corporation set up to be running your business, and you can document and track all your expenses and file as a sole proprietor without having a formal business formed. Granted, you've already done this, so we can't change it. But the option 2 is you paid $299 for someone to set up an LLC. There's actually, in the state of Georgia, I've done it many times, there's an easy way to set up an LLC. I think it's $99 for 3 or 5 day processing, whatever it might be. You can pay an extra $100 for the process even quicker, and you get you can get an EIN number yourself from the government's website. So instead of paying $299, there's ways to do it for about $99 and set it up on your own end. So
yeah, okay.
We can't change that now, but just for anyone watching and for you for future reference, there's ways to do it cheaper than the $299 route. What is Q Vibe Essentials? $134.95.
Yeah. So that right there is a business that I supported that one day because I needed a new shirt and new pants without going into too much detail about it. So it was my way of trying to get them to be a potential sponsor / advertiser.
You needed $135 worth of clothes when you got $15,000 of credit card debt. So, hey, why don't we just swipe that and add $135 onto that balance?
Right, right. And that was my, that was on me. So and I hold myself accountable to that. But yeah, that was that. And last time I ever spent a lot of money on clothes was when I was in high school. That was the last time. That was the last time.
That's an expensive set of shirt and shorts, whatever you got. $135 pants.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the pants I wear are $30 on Amazon, and the shirt I wear, this is $5. I got this is from Walmart or Target, and it's like $5 or $3 each or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where Target's maybe $10 and Walmart's $5. But
Mhm.
expensive stuff, and not a smart decision to be doing right now when you got all this debt.
No.
And then we have these other credit cards. This one had a balance of $0. Okay, so this is a payment from March to April. It looks like a statement. So you spent $340 on this. You put CVS on it. You put going out to eat for, it looks like sushi on here for $13. You got Chick-fil-A for $12. You have your gas payment, it looks like, for $200. And then I guess a CPA you paid for tax solutions for taxes for 2022. You still eating out this much?
Not as frequently as I used.
Okay. The next card is a $1,600 balance. This one's from April. Oh, is this the same card?
Discover or Chase. It's two different cards. Chase. Yeah.
Chase is all the same card? Okay, it is the same card. So it's just the next balance. This is now from April to May. We've got the Enterprise car. So that's when you're renting a car for a rental car and paying $600 a week for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that hurts paying $600 a week on a car. And the next payment cycle got AAA and got a sidebar. Sidebar looks like you went to bar with that one. And this one is May to June. We've got more tax stuff, it looks like, and more payments for these courses. Okay, so now there's one other credit card. So this credit card I didn't realize there's 4 different statements for the same card. That's a $2,000 balance. But that means I'm missing about $5,000 worth of credit cards that are not on these. Are those? Chase has a $2,000 balance. Yeah, the other one has an $860, and then you have Discover that's at $8,000. Where's the other $5,000?
Oh, the 5,000. I think what it is that the 5,000 from the Chase, right? I think that's the subtraction, that the amount that's been spent thus far, if I'm not mistaken.
You have $5,000 balance on Chase. I only see $2,000 on this one.
You always see 2,000?
But you told me you had $15,000 worth of credit card debt.
Yeah. So the 2,000 is what is available right now on the card.
No, it says the balance is $2,000. You have available credit is $7,600. But there must be a card. Do you have Discover, Chase? You have that third one. Is there a fourth credit card?
Nope, those are just the only 3.
Okay, because I'm only seeing $10,000 or just under $11,000 versus the $15,700 you told me. So there's something missing somewhere, which I'm not sure. But it does look like this Chase one, you stopped spending money on it last month, and there's minimal payments on it. You have your taxes on there, and then a payment for the cybersecurity courses. Let's look at your bank statements then.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm sorry, it just came up. So the Visa, that's the one that's it. The Visa, which is connected to my Delta, that's probably what you were talking about.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
Visa
don't have that.
Platinum Rewards card. You don't have that? Okay. My apologies. I don't know why it's not on.
No worries. That one has $5,000 balance. Are you still using that one? Are you still swiping on it?
No. The Visa Platinum Rewards card. No.
Cancel that, because that probably has an annual fee that you're going to have to pay soon. And don't need that. You need to cancel it and start figuring out a plan to pay that one down.
Oh yeah, I can't even use that.
Good. You shouldn't be using it. Let's look at, I guess, monthly transaction we have on the debit card, because not much spending happening on the credit cards right now. But debit cards, let's see what we got. Artistry Live. What are you spending $21 for in Decatur?
Honestly, like that. Oh, that was my attendance there. That was my attendance at the event. When was that? Back in March or April of the
That was July 1st.
July 1st. Yeah, that was my July 1st. That was my attendance there. I was invited out there as a personality. So it must have been a drink. No, drink or food and drink.
You shouldn't be eating out at all when you got $15,000 with credit card debt. It needs to be, like you said, eating ramen at home, eating instant meals, eating whatever you can cheaply as possible. Because, I mean, right now I see we got Del Taco for $7. We got, it looks like a sushi place for $10. We've got What else do we have? A lot of gas on here. More sushi. So you like the sushi place. Quick Trip, Walmart, no, that's not Jimmy John's. T-Mobile, Family Dollar, Family Dollar. So you do shop a lot at Family Dollar, and that's where you said you're getting your groceries at?
Yes. Yes.
We got Macklin Wings and More. So you spent $12 more eating out. More sushi. So you love the sushi place. We got more Del Taco. We got Seven Seas Bottle Shop. So we're picking alcohol and eating out over paying off credit card debt right now.
Yeah. Well, for the alcohol, I had to purchase for business purposes because of the field that I'm in. No, I shouldn't have been using the credit card, but because of the field that I'm in, I had to purchase certain things. But besides the food, that was on me.
Can your employer not purchase and provide that?
Back in the day, they did back in the day, but because of a shortage, with cutbacks and everything,
Burger King, $12. So we do have probably, like you said, $100 eating out at least between all of that. Besides that, it's a lot of gas. We got a lot of Food Depot. We got Chick-fil-A for $13. We got Kroger. We've got BP. There's supposed to be a snack at BP because it was $2.44. We Cash Apped someone for $20. More BP. How much are you driving? You're filling a BP like every other day.
Yeah, to and from work.
How far is your commute?
Near every day. My commute is an hour, like
Oh, wow.
45
Okay.
minutes, sometimes an hour because of traffic.
Yeah, Atlanta traffic is not fun.
No, it's not.
But we got
No, it's not.
got more wings on here. What is money going into an investment account for? On July 17th, $300.
Yeah. So that went into a share that I purchased. Because I'm getting into, I've actually got an account with the stock agency, the stock organization. I won't say who they are either, but I'm investing into stocks.
Why are you investing in stocks right now when you got $15,000 worth of credit card debt?
Because I'd rather invest in stocks versus going out playing lottery tickets. So I wanted to be able to invest in something that is going to be long term, for me and my family.
How much money do you have in your investment account right now?
How much money I have in my investment right now?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh, okay. How much money I have invested right now? I invested 300 to 400. So it's about 400 right now.
On the sheet you sent me, it says $1,300. Is there other accounts?
No. It's the same account. No, I got an investment. It's the same investment company since 2020. So I've already invested money into the same account in 2020. I just happened to invest more around this time. Yeah.
So you have $1,300 in there in total right now.
Right.
Are you aware, I guess, what the average returns in the stock market are versus?
No, please enlighten me.
So the average return of the S&P 500. So it sounds like right now you're doing individual stocks. You're not doing index funds.
Individual stocks.
So Warren Buffett suggests 99% of people are better off investing in index funds versus individual stocks. So index funds are, instead of investing, say, $100 into buying part of an Apple stock, and 100% of your money is going towards Apple, and it's so dependent on the growth and of Apple. What index funds are is, think of a basket of stocks. So the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in America based off market cap, different criteria there. And if you buy one share of an S&P 500 fund, you now own bits and pieces of 500 companies. And it's weighted differently depending on the index fund that you're in or the mutual fund. But for reference, like the S&P 500, I think Apple is like 6 or 7% of the total weight of that. So you might own 6 or 7% of Apple, a couple percent of Amazon, a couple percent of NVIDIA, a couple percent of Facebook, and then it kind of goes down depending on the smaller companies. But instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you're putting all your eggs into essentially a basket of 500 that has 500 companies in it. And that way, if one company fails, all your money doesn't go to zero. If you put all your money into company A right now, and 20 years from now it's gone, all your money's gone. If you put all your money into an S&P 500 fund or a total U.S. stock market fund, if it goes to zero, we got bigger problems, because that means the U.S. economy has gone down the drain and is worth nothing, because you're essentially buying equity in 500 different companies or more, depending on what fund you're in. Warren Buffett, you know who Warren Buffett is?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're one of the greatest investors of all time.
Yeah.
So he suggests everyone should invest in index funds, and that's the best way, because you're not sitting here studying balance sheets, you're not sitting here studying financial statements. I've made my own mistakes with that. I've done that. I tried to be smarter than Wall Street, smarter than the tech world, and thought, okay, I can invest in individual stocks. And guess what? It's burned me before. So now my complete thesis is I'm putting in index funds, and that's it. And I'm not going to sit here and try to outsmart the S&P 500 or think can outperform it or outperform the NASDAQ or whatever fund, index fund I'm looking at, I don't sit here and trade 24/7. I don't work on Wall Street. I don't study balance sheets of companies 24/7. And I know that if I can invest in index funds, then I'm going to build wealth long-term over time because it's all weighted based off the U.S. economy versus small cap companies versus international companies, depending on what index fund it is. And that's my lowest risk way to build wealth, but also still have risk where I can earn solid returns. So the average return of an S&P 500 fund over the last 50, 60, 70 years is about 10%. And that might not sound great. 10% to be like, oh, that's not a lot, or, oh, it is. But typically that means your money will double every 7 years. And
yeah,
that's a great return. If you do that over time, you invest $500 for 40 years, you're going to have a lot of money at the end of it. You know how much money you'd have at the end of 40 years? You invest $500 a month in an index fund?
I can only imagine.
Take a guess.
If I take an educated guess, about 50,000, 50. Would I be able to go to 50,000?
If you put $500 in a month in a index fund that averages 10% over the course of 40 years, you'd have $3.1 million.
3.1. Oh, okay. I was thinking too short there.
Yeah. So 50,000 versus 3.1 million. You would contribute $240,000 over the course of that 40 years. That $240,000 that you contribute would go to $3.1 million.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Obviously, that's not accounting for inflation. So I like to use 7%. So if you count for 7%, you'd have $1.3 million in today's dollar, which is still a significant amount of money. And
gotcha. Okay.
That's put in an index fund. If you put $500 a month into company A or any company you choose right now, guess what? 40 years from now, it might not be here, or it might not be as high growth or as scalable as it is. I mean, 20 years ago, Facebook, Uber, Airbnb, Twitter. None of these companies were around 20 years ago. Apple was around. It was obviously started booming in the early 2000s, mid 2000s when the new iPhone was released, but no one could have predicted that Apple would be as big as it is right now. And the same way today, if you start putting all your money into an individual stock, you don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. You don't know what's going to happen 30 years from now. And if you put all your money into one single company, you're solely dependent on that company and its future versus putting in index funds. You have at least de-risked yourself because you own bits and pieces of multiple different companies. Does that make sense?
That's something to think of. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. The index versus the individual. Because they always tell you to go with the individual and not the index. But I've always been curious, like, okay, what does the index mean?
The risk is far greater on the individual side. Obviously, there's times you can have great returns if you pick the right one. But 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to pick one that is going to underperform compared to an index fund. So, but the main issue right now is you're investing and you have $1,300 in your account right now, in your investment account, that's accruing. Even if we had an index funds, it's not index funds right now, we'll say an average of 10% a year, not accounting for inflation. Your credit card debt, on the other hand, is at 29%. So that means you have a 19% difference in what your credit card debt is accruing at versus what you're going to be earning on those investments. Obviously, some of your investments or some of your credit cards right now are at 0% APR, the introductory period, like the Discover card, but you have this other card that has an $838 balance, which is accruing at 26.99%. So you're essentially paying $27 every single year per $100 that you have in debt to them. You got $800 in there. You paid $19 last month to them. So the next year, you're paying $240 in interest to the bank when your investments are underperforming that. So typically what most financial people suggest, and I highly recommend, is you shouldn't be investing at all, whether it's in index funds or single stocks or anything else in between, until you get out of high interest debt. And right now you have, if you're debt that's at 2% or 3%, and you said, hey, I wanted to try to outperform this and put in index funds and invest, then that could be a conversation. Frankly, I like, hey, let's get out of debt first, and then you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But right now you got credit card debt that's at 26%. You got other ones at 29%. You got ones that are going to start accruing next year at 29%. You have this laptop computer that I don't know what the interest rate on that is. You have this other personal loan. I don't know what the interest rate on that is. But if you're trying to outperform the credit card debt, I can promise you will lose 99 out of 100 times. It's not going to end well. A lot of people try to outperform debt and it lands them in further debt, or they end up underperforming, or they don't account for tax. Frankly, what I do is, if I was in your shoes, is you got a $1,300 in an investment account right now, sell that. Obviously, you're going to have to account for capital gain taxes. If you put in $1,000 and it's worth $1,300, that means you owe capital gain taxes on $300 there. In the state of Georgia, with your income level and state income, probably about 20%. So you know about $60 out of that 300, but you need to obviously check and see what your capital gains are.
Yeah.
But I'll take that money and go pay off this one credit card because it's not going to outperform the credit card debt. You pay off this $838. Okay, great. We're making progress on this debt right now. You go from $15,000 down to $14,000 paying this off. And that way you don't have the minimum payments there. And you take that minimum payment that you've been paying, which was how much to them? It was $69 last month to them. And let's start putting that towards another credit card payment and start paying that balance down. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes all the sense in the world, I should say.
Yeah. So frankly, I wouldn't even worry about investing until we got $45,000 worth of debt we got to figure out before we start even thinking about investing. And anyone that tries to sell you on a course or tells you, hey, you can outperform this investment, don't do it. It's just going to land you in further debt, or they're selling you a course that's $100 a month that is a get-rich-quick scheme that you're going to lose money on.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Mm-hmm.
And another thing, have you started thinking about how to pay this debt off, or like the different methods of paying debt off?
Yeah, absolutely. So the one method I thought of was the settlement, which I can't disclose what the settlement looks like or could be from the car accident. So that's one method. The second method, of course, is getting another opportunity, something that is more in demand and more high paying than the one that I currently have. So those are the only two things that come to my mind.
Okay. So right now you're expecting a settlement of some degree that it could be used once you should be receiving that in the next few months.
Not next few months, man. It could be a few weeks or months, depending on how the process goes.
Okay. But yes, I would definitely, whatever settlement money you have, however much it is, every single dollar should be going towards paying this credit card debt off. The ones that are accruing interest, and then two, the ones that have the smallest balances after that. So there's two routes to go with paying debt off. And frankly, I would go the snowball method with the credit card debt first. There's the avalanche method and the snowball method. So the avalanche method is you go after the highest interest rate credit card no matter the balance. Mm-hmm. So if you have a credit card that is at 20%, and you have one that's at 29%, you go after the one that's 29% no matter what, because it is accruing more interest. Frankly, the way I like to look at things is doing the snowball method, because psychologically, I think it's better because you get momentum faster. And so in this instance, what you do is you list out your debts from smallest to largest. So like that credit card balance, that's $800. You have another credit card balance that's $2,000, credit card that's $5,000, credit card that's $8,000. Is you pay the minimum payments on everything, and every single dollar that you can put towards it on top of that goes towards the smallest loan first. So in this case, it would be the $863 loan. And then once you get that paid off, everything going towards the $19,000 or the $2,000 loan. After that, the $5,000. After that, the $8,000. Obviously, you have other loans in there as well when it comes to the personal loans, towards the laptop computers and the student loans, but also need some resources too, so you can look at kind of your debt snowball payment schedule, how it'll look. And you can also look at an avalanche method route as well. And I'll send you some resources after this so you can just sit here and look and see what it is, and also tell you, hey, this is how long it's going to take you to pay off this debt. I personally like the snowball method because once you pay off the first one, once you pay off the second one, you're like, okay, I can do this. I'm making momentum. Versus if you're going the avalanche route and maybe it's the highest balance one has the highest interest rate, you're going to feel like you're going nowhere. And you're going to see that balance go down by $100 or $50, whatever it is, and that's going to be kind of defeating. Versus if you have the snowball method and you wipe away the $800 one, you wipe away, or I guess the first would be the laptop computer, that's $580. Do that first, and then you do the credit card that's $800. Okay, great. I've paid off two debts. Now I can do this towards the second one. That freed up $100 in minimum payments. I can go towards the next debt, and you start building momentum that way. And psychologically, I think that's a better route to go. And I'll send you some different resources and stuff to learn about that too. But you need to start figuring out what is your payment schedule and structure for this, and how can you start attacking this debt. But really, I mean, frankly, one of the things you need to figure out too is, if I was in your shoes, you got to figure out what a second job is right now. If you love being in TV broadcasting and radio broadcasting, how can you make more money? I mean, making $12 an hour is not a livable wage with this kind of debt. And what can you do with that? What can you do on the side? Can you DoorDash? Can you do Instacart? What can you do on the side? Or find a part-time job on the weekends? You're working, you said, 4 to 6 hours a day with your current job. And then you obviously have commute. So we'll call it 8 hours a day. You still got, if you remove sleeping for 8 hours and you remove another 2 hours for eating, you still got another 6 hours a day that you can be working. And that's not going to pay itself off. So you got to figure out what are some other jobs that you can do in your free time if you have a different schedule with the radio broadcasting and you need to be flexible. Okay, what are some gig jobs that you can do, like DoorDash or Ubering or Uber Eats or whatever that might be? And what are some things that you can do to start bringing additional income? Because right now you have $1,600 in monthly expenses. You're bringing in $1,600, and that doesn't account for the $1,100 in debt payments we have.
Don't forget TV, by the way. I do TV, and I also do freelance work as well.
Okay, so if we call it $1,900 we'll call it $2,000 a month. If you round up and you make $400 from that, $2,000, you still have $2,700 a month in debt payments and living expenses if you're sticking to this budget. So you're still operating at a $700 deficit, and that's not even putting more than the minimum payments towards these credit card or debt payments, which means those balances are going to continue to grow, and you're going to find yourself in the cycle for 20 years if you just make those minimum payments. Right. So what I would like, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I said I didn't have no argument there.
Yeah. So frankly, what I would do if I was in your shoes right now, frankly, a lot of debt right now, and you gave yourself a 5 in terms of your financial situation on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably put you at a 1.5. And I say that out of love, but I say that out of just harsh reality. You have $1,100 in debt payments a month right now, and you're bringing in, that's over half of your income right now. And I know that's not a fun spot to be in, seeing all your debt payments, all your payments going out towards these debt payments and not feeling like you make much progress. But the reality is your income is not in a spot where you can afford to live and pay these debt payments right now. So you got to figure out what is your plan moving forward with getting a second job, getting a higher paying job in the current industry and getting a second job. But you're going to have to be hustling for the next probably 2 years to figure out a way to get this paid off, maybe even 3 years. And you got student loan payments coming due in October, which is going to be another $100, $150 in student loan payments there. If I was you, I'd be scared, frankly, right now. I mean, you've been living like this since November with all the credit card payments. Student loan payments have been deferred. So over the last 7 months, we got between the student loans coming due here in October and the credit cards and the laptop computer, $36,000 worth of debt that's starting to hit you and accrue interest every single month, which is more than you make in a year right now. So what I would do is you need to sell these investments, pay off. I'd go the snowball method, lay that out there, pay off the debts, use the snowball method with the investments, and then start finding other jobs that you can start working nights and weekends to start getting your income up so they can start throwing stuff at this credit card debt. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a hole for months to come with no way out because this debt's going to start accumulating. Right now, you're in a spot where some of this debt has a 0% interest APR. So you got to start figuring out how can you start paying that off before the interest starts accruing on that as well, because that's going to eat you alive once that starts.
Okay. Yeah. Was just one comment. So I'm in alignment with you. I agree with a lot of what you said tonight, and I appreciate you for having me on first and foremost.
Yeah.
I right now with my situation and tying in with the car accident I was in, I can only do so much at the moment, and I'm recommended by my legal team as well as doctors that I have to take it easy on some of the things that I want to do outside of the field that I'm in, because I'm already doing a lot just by commuting. And to be frank, I'm not even supposed to even be commuting as much after the accident in March, which wasn't even that long ago. You know, March is like last week to many of us. Yep. So once the process is done, the settlement and everything, which I can't legally talk about, once that is done, then and said and done, it's closed casket. I'll be able to, of course, do other things that will require more physical that I can do to, bring more money in and to eliminate a lot of that debt off. But because of the current circumstance, especially after the accident, it's only so much I can do with them.
Yeah, makes sense. Appreciate that clarity. And I mean, in the meantime, I'd figure out what are some jobs you do from home too. What are some remote jobs or data entry style jobs or customer service jobs you can do from the comfort of your own home, so you're not having to commute, not having to go places. But I'd definitely start figuring out how can you do that. And then, yes, when you get the debt settlement in, or not the settlement from the car accident in, you got to figure out how are you going to use this to pay off the credit card debt? How do you use this to pay off the loans? And utilize that to your advantage, because the last thing you need to do is have an inflow of cash and put that in investments or put that on, just start spending it when you have all of this debt at your.
Oh yeah, no. That last investment, that last investment is definitely my last investment. I don't have any intentions or plans of investing in anything else right now. I just want to be financially free from debt, and be able to take that weight off of my shoulders there that I've been holding for the past couple of months.
Good. Well, I'm glad you want to make change, and obviously different life circumstances happening right now. And I'm hoping that, frankly, for your sake, that the settlement that you receive is enough to pay off some, if not most of this debt. And you need to start, in the meantime, you need to start learning, educating yourself, start putting yourself on a budget every single month. So you're making sure that you're spending less money than you're making. Figure out what jobs in the meantime you can do that are online, that do not require commuting, do not require physical activity, and start figuring out a plan using the debt snowball method, probably is what I would suggest in terms of paying this debt off. Start taking action on that when it comes to selling your investments. Start paying off the ones that are accruing interest or the smallest balances first. And then let's start figuring out a plan moving forward. You have the ability to work more or do more things. Can you find a higher paying job? Can you find what is it to break into cybersecurity? I don't know the specifications, requirements, certificates that you have to get in that. But let's start figuring out higher paying career fields too that will allow you to live a life that you're not living paycheck to paycheck right now. Because frankly, if you continue, and as you understand, is if you're making $12 an hour, you're gonna be living paycheck to paycheck probably the rest of your life, because that's not, frankly, a livable wage to make an income, to live by yourself, to afford to go out to eat or go shopping or really do anything in life. It's unfortunate. It's just not a spot to be able to afford anything.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I really, really do appreciate your time and transparency and openness on the show today. And I'm hoping that you and everyone watching this, there's a few takeaways to look at and understand that, hey, look at your finances every single month, start budgeting your money, start figuring out a plan on how to pay off debt. Don't be investing money when you have all this debt accumulating as well. And hopefully this was beneficial to you, and really just to appreciate your time today.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the information, and hope to come back on and maybe even share a update on a success story or two.
Yeah, Sean, I'd love to have you. I'm hoping 6 months from now we can do a recap, or 12 months from now I'll follow up with you and check in and see how things are doing. But would love to have you back on here to do a catch up in a few months. And I wish you all the best of luck in the future. I'll send you a bunch of resources after this, and feel free to reach out with any questions that I can help with. And for everyone watching, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank Sean for your time today, and we'll see you next time.